Okay, so to start, a little bit of an introduction about our panel and conversation for today. Natural diamond jewelry is often described through value, rarity, or beauty, but this session is really about the wearer. What gives a piece of jewelry emotional meaning? Like any object made to settle on the body or become a part of our life and world, does a diamond tell us stories about the wearer? When looked at more closely, can it reveal the life it has gathered over time? Focused on the wearer, I'd love to explore with you how natural diamonds can be carriers of personal narrative and identity. Through our conversation, I'd love to reflect on how individuals, designers, collectors, tastemakers, and writers, all of us who are here today, construct our own visual and emotional language through the way we choose to wear, create, or keep our diamond jewelry as objects and tellers of time. I'd love to start with introductions. I'll go last as the moderator of this conversation. Radhika is a collector and patron of modern and South Asian contemporary art. She began her career in finance, working as an economist before fully transitioning into the art world. She served as a gallery director of one of the first contemporary South Asian galleries in the United States, and later helped establish the Foundation for Indian Contemporary Art as its founding director. Today, she supports artists, residencies, museums, and nonprofit institutions with a focus on regional voices, cross-cultural exchange, and sustainable institutional frameworks for contemporary art. And as if this wasn't enough, she is also the founder of artisanal luxury tea brand Number 3 Clive Road, a brand whose ethos and collaborations I personally love. Welcome, Radhika.
Thank you so much for having me today. Definitely a topic close to my heart, of beautiful objects, not just art, but also jewelry and textiles. Definitely, it's a privilege to be surrounded by beauty.
Wonderful. Next on my screen is Devisha. Devisha is a creative director and brand strategist. Her work spans luxury hospitality, fashion, craft, and cultural storytelling. She specializes in blending heritage with modernity, shaping experiences and narratives that feel intentional and exceptionally crafted. This has made her a trusted voice for brands seeking depth, design, cultural resonance, as well as thoughtful expansion into India. And not to mention, she has a sari wardrobe that is very enviable, and a lot of us would love to get our hands on. Welcome, Devisha.
Thank you for having me, and I can't wait to discuss a little bit about my wardrobe as well as all the jewelry that goes with it.
They always go together, don't they? Next up, I have Akshat. Akshat is the founder of Jaipur-based jewelry atelier Tallin, a contemporary fine jewelry house rooted in traditional craftsmanship and a cross-cultural design sensibility shaped by both India and Italy. Akshat comes from a family background in precious stones and jewelry making based in Italy, and he grew up between Jaipur and Padua, an influence reflected in the brand's distinctive visual language and approach to design. Akshat, I think it's safe to say that all of us are fans here of your jewelry and all that you create. Welcome.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. And anytime you want to talk about jewelry, you can invite me. Very happy
Know
to
where
do
to
that.
go. Yeah, and we know where to go as well, Jaipur. Lastly, I'm Akanksha Kamath. I'm a London-based writer, editor, author, and columnist for the Hindu Sunday Times magazine. I spent a large part of my career in India, where I served as fashion features director for Vogue India. I now contribute to global publications, including Financial Times, Business of Fashion, and others, writing across luxury, fashion, jewelry, art, and culture. And because there is always room to do more, and I'm in a room full of multi-hyphenates, I also run my own content platform, studio and consultancy, LSS. Now, to start, to get to the fun bits, a quick icebreaker from me. I would love to know from each of you what's a piece of natural diamond jewelry each of you has that has a personal story attached to it. It could be something commissioned, inherited, or customized, something you're wearing. I think Akshat, we'll start with you. I feel like you live and breathe jewelry each day.
Um, Well, I'll just go with what I'm wearing today, which is something I wear every day. This is a carved emerald pendant with diamonds and rubies and some gold. Whenever I use colored stone, I like to have some diamonds around it because I love the contrast between color and the white brilliance of the natural diamond. Um, I like this piece because I can wear it pretty much in any situation in my life. I can play sports in it, go swimming in it, go to a party in it. I never have to take it off. And it's sort of become a part of my body. I feel a bit strange when I don't have it on these days. Also, I really like carved stones or any irregularly shaped stones because they kind of fall between the rough form of the stone and the fully cut part of the stone. And I like that sort of in between stage of a piece. Um, and when I'm not wearing a t-shirt, it also feels really soft on the skin. So
And it's at home in India and Italy. Devisha, would you like to go next?
Yeah, I'm actually wearing it as well. So for me, it's my Dadi's ring, and it's basically a ruby with a natural diamond inside of it that's drilled in. And
Oh, beautiful.
I'm not quite sure how it was made, but when I wear it every day, it kind of reminds me of her. But also, I feel like it speaks to who she was as a woman and me, which is a little bit of a softer stone on the outside, but a diamond and harder on the inside. And yeah, it's a piece that I don't take off, but I will admit I don't travel with because it's that one piece that if I ever lost, I just don't think um, it's more the sentiment as well as the technique of making this. I don't think it exists anymore. Yeah,
Wow, it's beautiful.
yeah.
Radhika.
Well, for me, actually, it's really all of my mother's jewelry. I could not have had a better role model. My mother loved wearing elegant, simple, yet layering pieces. And I think that for me, in fact, I'm wearing one of her earrings today. It's really, I value each of those pieces, and I carry them with me, and they hold a lot of, memories and reminder of who she is.
I mean, it's always the mothers and the grandmothers, isn't it? I wear a ring that was formerly my mom's diamond toe rings, which I mean, iconic.
How small are your hands, Akanksha?
No, they were two. They were two, and they had to be like well, okay, so now to start on the main part of the conversation, it was so wonderful to hear about everyone's personal stories with diamonds and jewelry. Radhika, I'd love to start with you. As someone who deals with objects and loves art in the way that you do you see a connection between how lived objects and jewelry or diamonds can reveal a lot about how people live or have lived through the past? What stories does our jewelry tell us about us?
Absolutely. There's definitely a very strong connection between art and jewelry. Just in the way context is so important in art, understanding an artist's artwork, where they've come from, the stories that they tell. I feel the same way with jewelry pieces, actually, particularly the ones that are inherited. They carry so much memory, craft, heritage. So they tell a story. It depends on, a piece where it was made or whether it was inherited, from my mother's mother. There's just so much to tell. And in the same way, art also reveals so much about perhaps current times or history or mythology or shared histories. So there's a lot of similarity between art and jewelry.
Like jewelry has a way of showing codes that existed. Jewelry was signifiers of what social strata you were in, or who you were, and which part of the country or world, and how you wore your jewelry. It's really fascinating. Devisha, I'm curious to know, as someone who occupies both sort of traditional and modern worlds, there are often expectations around heritage style or these sort of codes or signifiers, as I was talking about. Um, how do you think like a sari that you wear or diamonds and how they should appear traditionally, but do you feel the next generation is finding a freer, more personal way to wear these things now?
My generation and the next one is less interested in preserving heritage perfectly because we do very few things perfectly and more interested in living with it honestly. Um, I think growing up, there was like often this clear idea of how certain things should be worn, like which sari felt appropriate for which occasion, when natural diamonds came out, what would look traditional enough, what wouldn't. Like how you said, switching back to your grandmother's ring and it being her two diamond pie jades, like a married woman was the only one with diamond toe rings. But look, you're wearing that in a more contemporary way. I know you're married, but even if you weren't, you would still be wearing that ring.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I think how what is changing is not what is tradition, but I think people are far more instinctive with their style and they want things to feel more personal rather than prescribed or following a status quo. And I think that shift is actually giving heritage a longer lifespan because if younger generations feel freedom within tradition, they're more likely to keep returning to it and reinterpreting it in a different way and making it part of their everyday identity rather than something that is reserved purely for ceremony or preservation.
So well said.
Yeah.
Akshat, do you, diamonds especially have that sort of tension that Devisha is also talking about? They can feel quite classic or loaded with ceremony and expectation and like where to wear it, how to wear it. How do you make them feel more personal, intimate, or modern in the way you design?
Well, we like to see a lot of people, or through history, diamonds always been considered sort of the flashiest or the loudest stone. And I think that perhaps scares people in wearing it all the time. I think that things start feeling personal if you can wear them often and you can create sort of an emotional connection to them by wearing them more often. The way we design diamond jewelry is that I like to pair different cuts of diamonds together, like portrait cuts, rose cuts, and brilliant cuts together to reflect the diamond in different ways. Also to tone down the brilliance, the full brilliance of the diamond, so it becomes more sort of wearable across occasions. I've even creating jewelry that can be worn to define identity rather to just specifically for occasions. And also, if you can make jewelry that can be used for daily self-expression, it automatically becomes intimate and emotionally connected.
Do you find that a lot of women or men who are coming to you, are they coming with a more collaborative mindset where they're bringing you pieces that they've perhaps inherited, or they want it to almost become like a totem of personal identity somehow? Do they share their stories with you, and is there something you can tell us?
Yes, absolutely. A lot of people right now want authorship around what they're designing, what they're wearing. A lot of people come to us and they ask us to, take a piece of jewelry that we have and maybe play with the proportions or play with colors. And I actually love to customize pieces for people. Devisha was talking about heritage jewelry and Radhika, you as well. Many times of the year, we have women come to us with pieces that have been inherited by them through their parents or their mother-in-laws, pieces that they might no longer wear. And the beauty of jewelry is that you can use the same metal and the same materials to recreate something new. So very often we collaborate with people and make new pieces, and more so, like earlier, about 10 years ago when we started the brand, groups of people would come in and buying jewelry would be a collaboration between the family. Now what we're seeing is that young women come in by themselves. They want to buy jewelry that speak to their identity. They want to collaborate and give their own creative input in making the jewelry. And many times they want to recreate old pieces into new pieces they can actually wear today.
Mm, it's true. Radhika, in art, I'm so curious to understand that, you're surrounded by beautiful objects, beautiful art. Um, and art is one of those things where it's very subjective. It completely depends on the context and it's subjective to who is viewing it. And also sometimes when you hear the story of the artist, where their mind space was, or when they were creating, how they were creating, completely changes the meaning behind a particular art piece. Do you feel like that about jewelry as well? Do you think based on who's wearing it, when and where, it completely changes context?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really about how you feel with not just a work of art, but also a piece of jewelry. I think emotion is very much connected to things that we sort of are drawn to. And in the same way, people, sort of are drawn to certain works of art. I feel the same way with jewelry, actually. And I think what Devisha and both Akshat said about making it very personal, I think that's the beauty about of jewelry and things that you wear. It's how you carry it and how you feel. And like for example, I'm wearing these earrings with like a plain white shirt. I can dress it up, I can dress it down, I can be rebellious, I could be sophisticated. I do think, it's all about emotion.
Mm.
Also,
And that,
may I say something? I feel like it's such a
please
personal
do.
form. It's one of the only art forms, or one of the few art forms that can be worn on your body constantly. And there's so many private moments you get with your jewelry. It's you put it on when you're alone, you take it off when you're alone, you may shower with it or sleep with it. It is so connected to your body that it automatically becomes an intimate object.
Mm. And it's the first thing that touches our body, before any piece of clothing or anything. Yeah. Speaking of personal style, Akshat, between India, Italy, Noelle, your wife is from New York. I feel like you've kind of, all these style capitals around the world. Do you see a difference in how people express themselves in these different cities through their jewelry or clothing style or personal style? And is there really a difference between just being well put together and actually having personal style?
Well, they can go hand in hand. I think it's important to be well put together, through good fits and good materials and looking good. But personal style is really what stays with you. People are doing it right. And interesting style to me is when people have, we're lucky that we get to travel. We're also lucky that we have so many young brands popping up all over the world that one can sort of go on an adventure, discover and connect with and find that one brand that speaks to your personal identity, your personal sense of style. And I like it when people have collected these little things from their travels. Each piece tells a story, they combine it together. And whatever style that projects is what remains with me. Like if I come back from a place and I tell my wife Noelle that this person was really well styled, it's usually because they're carrying a lot of their personality in the things that they're wearing.
Mm. And Devisha, that brings me to you and your saris and jewelry. And I'm kind of curious that do you think like social media has kind of played a role as well in how we are dressing now?
Oh, I was going to say that's an interesting one.
Mm.
But I was going to say before I get into that, just talk about Akshat and Noelle. I feel like for those who don't know them, I'm lucky to know both. They're the most stylish and beautiful couple globally. So I feel like a lot of it also has to do with maybe if I wore a necklace that was on Noelle, I will look like Noelle. So I think people can also, that's how like style comes into playing. But yeah, sorry, back to your question. I definitely see that in our generation, and for someone who has a very public sort of like social media presence, it's very different to the day to day. And um, even though I'm from a younger generation, I just don't think I'm one that follows trends per se in general. I think sadly, a little bit when social media comes into play, I say this all the time. Instagram is very much a highlight reel of your life, mine included. That I think Gen Z and the younger generations, that's changing a little bit. But I mean, without naming names, Met Monday was last week. And I think there was a lot of jewelry that was shown that was, to show to other people. It wasn't for the personal meanings or memories behind that. So I do think we sometimes get it wrong as a generation. And I hope that that changes because as you said, like jewelry and Akshat and Radhika have said it, it's something so intimate. You put it on, it's about the wearer. I'm from Jaipur. I grew up here. I don't have anything Kundan on me. But when you look at like Meenakari Kundan jewelry, the reason the back of it is so beautiful is because it's for the eye of the beholder wearing it. The stones in front is what the world will see, but the back is for you to also notice and take a moment and be like, wow, this is beautiful. And this is purely for me. So yeah, I personally don't wear things for social media, but I definitely think a lot of people in our generation are guilty of it.
Yep, yep. I'm not going to add anything there.
No, I'm not either. You
May
threw
I
me a
say
bit of a
something?
curveball. Yeah.
May I say something though? What's been interesting about social media is that when a lot of sort of younger women now come in to buy jewelry, it's also educated a lot of people about craftsmanship, about what types of jewelry exist, about what stones mean and where they come from. So a lot of people come into this more knowledgeable and therefore more able to sort of find something that really speaks to them. So I think there's some pluses in having all this information out there. And we've seen it. We've seen it more in the last 4 to 5 years.
How do you think diamonds that have historically been associated with ceremony, how do you think you are making it part of a more instinctive, lived-in personal language when it comes to natural diamonds?
I think for a long time, natural diamonds were viewed as ceremonial objects, something that only came out for special occasions. And that is still something that is very true. But I think I'm finding it interesting how people of my generation are reclaiming natural diamonds in a more personal and instinctive way. I don't know if that's a mind shift or generational shift, but um, instead of saving natural diamonds for special occasions, I think I'm much more inclined to pull for them more regularly and treat them as everyday moments worth celebrating. And I think that shift is happening all around. People are wearing them more day to day. Honestly, jewelry becomes most powerful when it becomes part of your daily identity and in emotional language rather than something purely reserved for ceremony. Having said that, obviously the most mega pieces, whether they're from my own collection or viewing other people's, do come out at larger weddings or larger ceremonies. So dressing up is just as fun as dressing down. And yeah.
Thank you. Very well said. Akshat, for you, there is often a tension with diamonds. They can feel classic, but also loaded with ceremony, as we discussed. How do you make them feel personal, intimate, or modern through your design or through the conversations you have with the wearers?
I think earlier diamond pieces used to be made with the idea of doing something magnificent and something, large and something reserved for occasion wear. And I feel like diamonds now are being used more for daily use or sort of designs that can be used from, as they say, from, board to the ballroom. So yeah, we make diamond jewelry that's comfortable, that's easy to wear, that's flexible, that moves with the body, that combines different cuts of diamonds together. And by combining different cuts, by making them more wearable, by allowing people to just use it in ways they've not been able to use it in before. And when they do that, it automatically becomes a part of daily life and it becomes sort of more meaningful because you can wear it every day. And you know, a diamond is a diamond at the end of the day. It records geology, it records time. It's been around for millions of years before us. It will continue to exist after us. And us as human beings have always cherished what's natural, what's from the earth, what Mother Earth has created. And so it will always carry strong meaning. And I think because of its whiteness and its specific glow and its sort of neutrality in color, it's also one of the most flexible stones. So it can be used in many ways. And so we're just trying different ways to allow people to use the diamond in which they might not have in the past.
Hmm. Yeah. And I mean, if I even just look at the pendant that you called out earlier that you're wearing, where it's an emerald flanked by two diamonds, and I feel like it just makes it feel so, anybody could wear it. Yeah. Um, Radhika, for you, is there a particular piece for you in art where you think the diamonds or the jewelry has really um topped for you and something that you remember quite deeply?
So actually, for me, I'm very much inspired by the way my mother effortlessly wore diamonds. So I find my inspiration in the way she carried herself, and combined, for example, diamonds with turquoise or diamonds with coral, onyx, a strand of pearls with a diamond brooch. So I'm very much inspired by actually what I saw growing up, and my mother wear them to dinner so effortlessly and so elegantly. So all of these pieces really carry these memories, and the jewelry that I'm drawn to is very much influenced by the way she carried herself wearing these pieces. So I find the inspiration really at home.
Do you think the most interesting style today comes from people who mix worlds? So old and new, Indian and global, formal and instinctive, or precious and everyday?
No, I completely agree that it's the people with, like we've discussed, strongest personal styles are the ones who are like breaking that contradiction. And I think we're all guilty of doing that here in a good way. I think because rules don't really exist anymore. So it's almost like might as well like wear different pieces in different ways. And I don't think we're pulling out heirloom pieces for special occasions either. So I feel like we're all, maybe it's a generational thing, and I mean this for all of us because I think we kind of are the same generation, is growing up, my mum has one of the most enviable china collections that she's inherited and built. And she would always like, the good china comes out for a special meal, whereas I just pull it out more often because I think every day should be a celebration. And I think the same of jewelry, that you're not waiting for that special occasion anymore. You're pairing, like you, me, and Radhika are all basically in white versions of white shirts and t-shirts, but we look so different just based on how we've styled these looks. And I think we're pulling from those pieces, or how Akshat mentioned, so many people are coming in because no one wants their pieces to just sit gathering dust in a locker somewhere. They want to wear them and they want to enjoy them every single day. And yeah.
Yeah, and wear it in different ways and, surprise yourself every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
There's something interesting, Akshat, that you said about how people are now coming to you and sort of referencing provenance of things, or now they're more informed, they're asking for specific things. And this question is to both Radhika and you. Actually, all three of you really, what makes something feel truly personal now? We're talking about personal style, but is it provenance? Is it memory? And when I think of provenance in art and then in jewelry, is there some sort of, synergies there? Is it the rarity of something? Is it the craft, or is it imperfection? I'd love to just pick your brains on this.
Can I go first? I feel like it's different for everyone. To some people, craft matters more. To some people, where the stone comes from matters. There's people who come in saying that I'm from this part of the world and I want a stone closest to where I was born. There's people who come in who really appreciate handmade jewelry, dying art, still alive in Jaipur. And they want a piece that can still be made purely by hand. Some other people come in and they want their old jewelry reused. And so what makes jewelry personal is the story you tell yourself. We make jewelry with a certain purpose and meaning. It leaves our studio, it takes on an entirely new purpose and meaning for the person buying it. And so I feel like all of this is important: provenance, craftsmanship, and it really depends on the person. They create the story and they create the meaning once they take that piece with them.
That's true. It doesn't end at the atelier. That's sort of where the creativity and the style begins, but it has such a long runway beyond that. Radhika?
I couldn't have said it any better, really. It's a very personal journey. And for me personally, I find I'm drawn to objects, whether it's art or jewelry, that are much more layered rather than perfect and pristine. So for me, the story is very important. The connection to the artist is very important, rather than the rarity or the size or the clarity. So it's a very personal decision, as it should be. So like we said, that, jewelry is something that you wear very close to your heart. So for me, I'm drawn to that emotion. And I think, the pieces of jewelry that belong to my mother are the most precious to me.
So we've all said this before, but I feel like jewelry is something that sits so close to us that it becomes so deeply intertwined with memory, ritual, and honestly, for me, it's a little bit also confidence and convenience. As Akshat said, jewelry, once it leaves the atelier, then, it's something that you wear. So I've actually kind of now become, apart from saris, I'm quite synonymous with wearing like layered necklaces. I mean, you can even see me wearing a ton now. And to be honest, it's sort of just become a part of my everyday identity. I sleep in them, I shower in them. It's a bit inconvenient when I'm working out in them. But I think it just says something interesting in itself, is that my jewelry has become so lived in and instinctive that it no longer feels separate from me. I feel like if I had to leave the house, I only really need to change my outfit and I'm good to go. Like the jewelry stays consistent. Yeah. And I
I
almost
love
feel like
that.
I'm missing like a part of me, like it's like phantom something if I'm not wearing like 4 to 5 necklaces constantly.
Yeah. On closing thoughts, thank you so much for spending this time talking about shiny objects, but also shiny objects with a lot of personal meaning.
Thank you, Akanksha. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us, and it was great chatting with everyone.